I'm Maya Rodriguez, founder and CEO of Phoenix Enterprises, a digital media and multimedia entertainment corporation that is taking the global market by storm, have just been honored with the Media Innovator of the Decade award. A confident smile spread across my face, but for a moment, my eyes accidentally glanced at a corner of the audience seats in the distance. 3 figures were so familiar, but now they looked strange and reserved. My parents David and Maria Rodriguez, and Leo, their precious younger brother. Their faces no longer had the smugness and disdain of the past, but instead were a look of embarrassment, a little bit of regret, and a faint glimmer of hope. Leo, the younger brother whom I once loved and trusted, the one whom I once welcomed with open arms into the very career that I had poured sweat, tears, and blood into. It was also him, with his selfishness, jealousy, and incompetence, who cruelly stabbed me in the back, destroyed everything, pushed me into the abyss of failure and debt. And my parents, whom I always respected and loved, instead of standing on the side of justice, on the side of reason, blindly defended him, putting all the blame and responsibility on me, the daughter who had always tried to make them proud. Now, after 10 years, when this failure had rebuilt an empire many times more glorious than the old one, they came to see me again, with eyes of belated regret. Life sometimes knows how to arrange ironic dramas. The Rodriguez family lived in a quiet suburb of Austin, Texas. My parents were second-generation Mexican Americans, hard-working and determined to provide the best for my sister and me. My father David owned a small but reputable auto repair shop. My mother Maria was a dedicated nurse at the local hospital. They loved us, but perhaps deep down there was still a bit of tradition and unconscious preference for their youngest son, Leo. I, Maya, am the eldest, a girl who has always been fascinated by the colourful world of media technology and storytelling. Since I was in school, I have been self-taught about graphic design, web programming, and how to create attractive digital content. After graduating from university with a major in multimedia communications, with a small amount of capital borrowed from friends and personal savings, I and my best friend from university, Chloe Davis, who is also passionate and talented, boldly founded Spark Media, a small startup company specializing in creative video content production and digital marketing for small and medium-sized businesses. Leo, my younger brother, is 4 years younger than me. He is the darling of his parents, pampered since childhood, accustomed to being protected and having all his demands met. Leo looks handsome, good-looking, and is a smooth talker, but in reality he is lazy, playful, lacking real ability and has no ambition. What I feel most clearly in Leo, although he tries to hide it, is a hidden jealousy of what I have achieved of my independence and assertiveness. Spark Media, under the leadership of Chloe and I, began to have initial successes. We created unique advertising campaigns, viral videos that attracted millions of views, and gradually created a small buzz in the industry. More and more customers came to us. I devoted all my heart and time staying up late and waking up early, working tirelessly with the dream of building Spark Media into a big name. Just when the company was on the rise, Leo graduated from college with an average degree after several retakes, and as usual, couldn't find a stable job for more than 3 months. My parents started to put pressure on me. Maya, don't you think of poor Leo? He's fresh out of college, has no experience, and it's hard to find a job anywhere. You're the older sister, and your company is also in need of people. Why don't you give him a chance to work to help his younger brother and have someone to help you? My mother often said this in a passionate voice. My father was more serious. Sisters in the family must know how to take care of and help each other. Don't always think only of yourself. Although I was a bit hesitant because I understood Leo's personality too well, but before the constant urging of my parents, and perhaps partly because there was still some family affection, a little hope that Leo would change, would mature when he had a stable job, I agreed. I arranged for Leo to be a project assistant, a job that did not require too much expertise, with the hope that he would slowly learn and integrate. Chloe was a bit opposed at first, but then went along with my idea. It was a wrong decision, a mistake that I later paid a very high price for. Leo's presence at Spark Media did not bring any support, but on the contrary, only caused more trouble and annoyance. He was lazy, irresponsible, often coming to work late, leaving early or disappearing for whole afternoons without a word of permission. The assigned work was done carelessly, or pushed to others. Not stopping there, Leo also often acts like he's the boss's younger brother and has the right to interfere in matters that are not under his authority. He often comes up with unrealistic ideas that disrupt the team's work plans. He also takes advantage of that position to bully new employees or secretly use company assets for personal purposes, such as printing private documents or using the company car for outings. I have reminded and even reprimanded Leo many times, but he just mumbled and let it go, and then things went back to normal. Every time like that, when I complained to my parents, they covered for him. He is still young and inexperienced. You should teach him slowly. He probably isn't used to the job, yet don't be too harsh on him. Leo has good intentions and wants to help the company develop. You should take note. The climax of the incident happened when Spark Media signed a big contract with a multinational corporation, a golden opportunity for us to expand to the Big C. This project required carefulness, high confidentiality, and a perfect execution plan. I assigned Leo a small part of the project related to managing some documents and the team's work schedule, hoping that he would be aware of the importance and try to do well. But that was a fatal mistake. While drinking with friends, Leo, in a drunken stupor and wanting to brag about his important role in a big project, accidentally leaked some sensitive information, important details of our media plan, to a friend who worked for a rival company. As a result, the rival company quickly launched a similar campaign one step ahead of us, causing Spark Media's project to completely fail. Not only did we lose that lucrative contract, but we were also fined a huge amount of money by the client for breach of contract, and the company's reputation was severely damaged. Not stopping there, while Chloe and I were trying to find a way to salvage the situation, we discovered another shocking truth. Leo, for a long time, had been secretly using the company's credit card to spend on his personal luxury needs, from buying branded clothes, new phones, to expensive trips. He also sophisticatedly created fake invoices and fake documents to legitimize those expenses. The amount of money that Leo had embezzled amounted to tens of thousands of dollars, a huge number for a startup company like Spark Media. When everything broke out, Spark Media was on the brink of bankruptcy. Debts piled up, customers turned their backs, employees were confused. I felt like I was falling into an abyss in pain, anger, and despair. I confronted Leo with all the undeniable evidence. At first, he denied everything, but then, with Chloe and my determination, he had to bow his head and admit part of his mistake, but still tried to blame it on the situation, on his immaturity. What hurt me more than Leo's betrayal was my parents' attitude. When I informed them of the incident, hoping that they would take a fair look and hold Leo accountable, they once again blindly stood up for their beloved son. "Oh my God, the boy doesn't know anything. Why do you keep making things difficult for him?" My mother cried, her voice full of reproach. "He's still young and naive if he makes a mistake. Why do you have to make such a big deal out of it? There must be some misunderstanding, or someone bad incited him. Our Leo would never have any bad intentions towards his sister." My father was stricter, but directed his anger towards me. "You are the older sister, the head of the company. Why don't you know how to manage your employees? Don't you know how to advise your younger brother? To let this happen, part of the fault is also because you are too trusting, too subjective. Now you are blaming the boy. Don't you think you're too much?" They didn't ask about the damage I had to suffer, didn't feel any pity for my efforts and hard work that had gone down the drain. They only focused on protecting Leo, treating him like an innocent child who had been harmed. They even hinted that perhaps I was poorly managing, and didn't know how to judge people, which was why the company was in this state, and it wasn't entirely Leo's fault. Chloe Davis, my close friend and co-founder, who has been with me through so many hardships, was also extremely disappointed and angry at Leo's actions and my family's unreasonable cover-up. She could not accept this harsh truth. Our close friendship and partnership began to crack from then on. Some former employees in the company who witnessed the incident expressed sympathy and regret for me. But there were also people who, influenced by my family's words or Leo's manipulation, believed that I was partly responsible, or even thought that I was trying to blame my younger brother to avoid responsibility. I felt completely isolated. Not only did I lose the career I had worked so hard to build, but I also lost the trust of my loved ones, the people I thought would always be there for me, supporting me unconditionally. This pain was greater than the pain of material loss. Spark Media was beyond saving. The company officially declared bankruptcy. Everything Chloe and I had worked so hard to build over the years, from the office equipment personnel to reputation and brand, all went up in smoke. Not only did I lose all my money and effort, but I also had to shoulder a huge debt left by the company, including contract fines and bank debts. My parents not only did not offer any encouragement or help, but also acted cold and distant. They thought that it was an expensive lesson for my stubbornness and disobedience. They continued to protect and defend Leo as if he had done nothing wrong in this matter. Leo did not seem to show any remorse. He even seemed to be pleased because he no longer had to work under me, no longer had to listen to my reminders and reprimands. With a broken heart, a heavy debt, and a deep disappointment to my family, I knew I couldn't stay in Austin any longer. I needed to leave this place, leave the people who had hurt me so much, find a new path, start over, even though I knew it would be extremely difficult. The first few months after leaving Austin were the darkest and most desperate of my life. I moved to Los Angeles, a foreign city with nothing and a huge debt. I worked all sorts of odd jobs to make ends meet and pay off my debt waitressing in coffee shops, working as a sales clerk in fashion stores, taking on freelance graphic design projects for cheap. I lived in a small, shabby apartment dealing with loneliness, deprivation, and the constant haunting memory of Leo's betrayal and my parents' neglect. But even in the darkest moments, the passion for the media industry and the will to prove myself never died. I could not let those injustices ruin my life again. I had to stand up, had to succeed, not only to pay off my debts, not only to affirm my own worth, but also to make those who had despised and betrayed me look back and regret. I happened to attend a small conference on the future of digital media and was fortunate to meet Mr. Benjamin Carter. Carter is a legendary investor in Silicon Valley, a man with a keen eye for potential talent and breakthrough ideas. He had heard about the collapse of Spark Media and also knew part of the story behind it. When I boldly presented to him a new idea of my own about building an interactive entertainment platform based on virtual reality and artificial intelligence technology, an idea that I had long cherished but had not had the opportunity to implement, Mr. Carter was deeply impressed. He saw in me not only the talent and creativity that had been buried, but also a strong will, an extraordinary determination of someone who had failed but refused to give up. Mr. Carter decided to give me a second chance. He not only invested a large amount of capital in my idea, but also became a mentor, a teacher, a person who guided and taught me valuable lessons about business, about management, and about how to treat people in this competitive world. Maya, he told me, failure is not the end, but an opportunity for us to learn and become stronger. Consider what has passed as a painful lesson and build something even greater. I believe in you. Mr. Carter's words and trust were like a rejuvenating medicine, rekindling the fire of hope and determination in me. I learned bitter lessons from the collapse of Spark Media. I became more careful in choosing partners, managing finances, and building a team. I no longer easily trust people blindly. With Mr. Carter's invaluable support, I founded Phoenix Enterprises, a name that represents rebirth from the ashes of rising up strongly after failure. I worked day and night with a determination and passion that was many times greater than before. I focused on developing new technologies and breakthrough business models in the fields of digital media and online entertainment. The long nights I stayed up coding, strategizing, the tense meetings with investors, partners, the bold, creative marketing campaigns, the times I had to face new challenges, formidable competitors. None of it could stop me. And then my relentless efforts paid off. Phoenix Enterprises grew rapidly, creating new trends in the industry, attracting millions of users worldwide and capturing market share spectacularly. My company became one of the world's leading media and entertainment corporations, valued at billions of dollars. And I, Maya Rodriguez, the girl who was betrayed by her own brother and family, pushed into the abyss of failure and debt, has risen strongly, becoming a self-made millionaire, a powerful CEO, a symbol of resilience, will, and success in the American business world. And now, in the grand ballroom of the Beverly Hilton Hotel, after my glorious coronation moment, I had to face them again, my parents and Leo. After many years, their lives were no longer the same. Leo, after escaping my management at Spark Media, continued to live a vagrant life relying on his parents. He also tried to start a few businesses with borrowed, half-baked ideas, but all failed miserably, leaving the family with more debt. My parents, after spending all their savings to pay off their beloved son's debt, were now old and frail, their health was declining. Life became difficult and poor. They probably had to sell the house in Austin where we used to live together. When they heard the news of the resounding success of Maya Rodriguez, the stubborn, failed daughter of the past, now a big shot, they probably couldn't sit still any longer. In desperation, or perhaps a bit of late regret, they tried every way to get tickets to this event, with a faint hope that they could meet me, maybe ask for my help. After the ceremony ended, when the important guests had gradually left, they timidly approached me as I was standing, talking to Mr. Benjamin Carter. Seeing them, a complex feeling suddenly rose within me. It was no longer the anger and resentment like before. There was only a hint of bitterness when remembering the pain they had caused. But the main feeling now was a calmness, a self-control of someone who had overcome everything, no longer bound and haunted by the past. Perhaps there was also a vague pity when seeing their miserable, haggard appearance, especially that of my parents. I politely excused myself from Mr. Carter, then turned to look at them. "Hello, Dad. Hello, Mum. Hello, Leo." My voice was flat without any particular expression. No joy, no hatred. My parents seemed a little stunned by my calmness. They stammered, hesitant. My mother was the first to speak, her voice trembling and filled with tears. "Maya, how are you, Mum and Dad? We came to congratulate you. You are so good. You are our pride." Leo stood behind his parents, head bowed, not daring to look me straight in the eye. The smug, arrogant look of the past had completely disappeared, leaving only fear and perhaps a little shame. I invited them into a private waiting room, away from prying eyes. I wanted this conversation, if it happened to be private. In the quiet of the room, they began to talk. About the hardships of life, about Leo's failures, about their parents' failing health. Then, inevitably, they began to talk about regret. "We know we were wrong, Maya," my father said, his voice full of weariness. "We were blind. We didn't trust you. We treated you unfairly. Please, please forgive us." Leo also raised his head, his voice low. Second sister, I'm sorry. I know I was wrong. Please forgive me. And if possible, please help our family. I listened silently without interrupting, without a trace of expression. When they had finished speaking, when the pleas and tears of remorse had been expressed, I slowly spoke. I still remember the day Spark Media went bankrupt. My voice was calm, but clear. I still remember what my parents told me that day, that it was my fault that I was too stubborn and didn't listen. I still remember Leo's face, not a single bit of remorse. 10 years have passed. I continued looking each of them straight in the eye. 10 years I have struggled with life, with debt, with despair to get to where I am today. So I wonder what made my parents and siblings come to me now. Is it because I have succeeded, have become a millionaire, that I suddenly become the pride, the person who can help my family? My straightforward, unabashed words were like needles stabbing straight into their shame and regret. My parents bowed their heads, not daring to look at me. Leo shrank even more. Maya, we know we don't deserve. My mother sobbed. The greatest punishment for them, perhaps, was not my rejection, but my brilliant success, and the fact that they had to humble themselves and beg the very daughter, the sister they had abandoned and treated unfairly. It was a very expensive lesson for their blindness and bias. I don't want to let negative emotions from the past affect my decisions now. I don't hate them anymore. But completely forgiving and forgetting everything is impossible. As for Leo, I looked straight into his eyes, my voice resolute. Leo, you once had a chance to start over, to prove yourself when I let you work at Spark Media. But you ruined everything with your own hands, not only my career, but also your own future. I will not give you another chance to repeat that mistake. You are an adult. Now you have to take responsibility for your own life. I will not help you financially, nor will I give you any position in Phoenix Enterprises. Go find a job that suits your abilities and learn to live responsibly and with self-respect. Leo bowed his head, unable to say a word. Perhaps he had already expected this. As for my parents, this is the most difficult thing for me. Even though they have hurt me deeply, they are still the ones who gave birth to me and raised me in my early years. Seeing their old miserable appearance, something inside me also feels sorry. Father, Mother, I said, my voice softening, I can understand how difficult it must be for you. And while what happened in the past is unforgettable, I don't want to see you living in poverty in your old age. I will provide you with a minimum monthly living allowance, I continued, so that you can cover your living expenses, rent a decent small house, and have money for medical expenses when you are sick. But I have one condition. You cannot interfere in my private life anymore, and you cannot continue to blindly defend or cover up Leo's mistakes. Leo must take responsibility for his own life. As for our relationship, I paused, looking deeply into their eyes. I need more time, a lot of time. The trust and affection that have been lost cannot be regained overnight. We can keep in touch, but please respect the distance I set. My parents nodded tearfully, perhaps understanding that this was the greatest mercy I could give them at the moment. The conversation ended in a heavy silence, but also a bit of a relief. I continued my life, a busy but meaningful life. I focused on leading Phoenix Enterprises, taking the company to new heights, creating products and services that bring value to the community. I am grateful to Mr. Benjamin Carter, my mentor and great friend, who has always believed in me and stood by me. I also reconnected with Chloe Davis, my old best friend. After understanding more about what happened, Chloe forgave me for my momentary weakness, and we became good friends again, although we were no longer business partners. Occasionally, I still call my parents to ask about them and send them money regularly. But I keep a certain distance, not letting the negative emotions of the past affect my present and future. Leo, after that meeting, also seemed to have changed a bit. He found a normal job and no longer bothered me. They defended the man who ruined my career and my life, but I did not let that defeat me. I stood up on my own, rewrote my own story, a story of rebirth from the ashes of resilience, determination, and success. And that is the strongest affirmation of my own value, the true pride that no one can take away. When a family that has betrayed and wronged you, especially when the perpetrator's younger brother is still around and your parents are still protective, now comes to you for help in their time of need. What do you do? Is Maya Rodriguez's decision the best way to handle it, showing the necessary toughness while still maintaining some humanity towards her elderly parents? Does Leo deserve any mercy or another chance from Maya? Or is her complete rejection necessary? Share your thoughts and feelings about this story.